Sometimes, as an astrologer, your own data can give you the actual facts, but you can read them wrong. If you give an interpretation of your Time Lords wrong, but the events happen right on schedule, it's still an indication that you've calculated them correctly. If you remember my last video, I predicted that Donald John Trump was going to have a world of hurt on Monday, March 25th. In fact, exactly the opposite happened. Looking at scheduled events for that day, the hush money election interference trial, where Stormy Daniels was paid over $100,000 to keep quiet, was set to begin, and the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, was scheduled to start seizing assets when Trump was unable to pay the $464 million he owed right then. Neither event happened. The first criminal case Trump faces got pushed back to April 15th, and, with no explanation, none whatever, Appellate Court of New York gave Trump a 10-day reprieve, put a momentary halt to Trump, his sons and associates being forbidden to do business in New York State, and reduced the amount of bond he had to pay from $464 million to $175 million. Not the defeat I predicted. I make no secret that I'm not fond of the man, and this led me to a very basic misreading of his Time Lord periods. Let me explain. To refresh your memory, Time Lords are like your own personal seasons. Everyone participates in the same earthly seasons. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, March 25th is always spring. July 4th is always summer. September 22nd is always autumn. December 25th is always winter. If you live in Queens, New York, Manhattan, or Mar-a-Lago, you will not have snow falling on July 4th. The season of summer makes that virtually impossible. Time Lords are like, again, personal seasons. You can be in the summer of your life, and a relative of yours can be in the autumn of theirs. One big difference between the seasons of the earth and the astrological seasons of your life is that astrological seasons are mostly labeled by a planet or occasionally by a sign of the zodiac. Zodiacal releasing from the lot of fortune starts from the sign the lot of fortune is in. The only Time Lord I know of from the Chinese four pillars gives your personal seasons labeled by animals. If you're born in a dragon year and your Time Lord period is monkey, that, all things being equal, should be a harmonious time, as dragon and monkey get along. I've been using a Vedic Time Lord, the Vimshotri Dasha, to time the anguish and turmoil in Donald Trump's life versus the benevolence and tranquility. To repeat, he is in the very most enturmoiled period of his adult life, which began on Joe Biden's birthday last year. Okay, what gave Mr. Trump a momentary reprieve from his ongoing turmoil? Stack up the Time Lords. The main period ruler is the moon, which has been going on from October 4th, 2016, and will last until August 2nd, 2026. If you use the standard methods for the Vimshotri Dasha, you will not get these results. The more or less standard Ayanamsha, for instance, for Jyotish in India and most of the world, is Lahiri, which will not get you the precise results I've been getting, even as your YouTuber, me, interprets them wrong. Trump's natal moon is eclipsed. That's the biggest factor to consider during any moon subperiod, but especially during the moon main period. Things will not go well. Specifically, since the Vimshotri Dasha gauges how much mental turmoil you'll suffer during a difficult period for you, the entire moon period has been a span of mental turmoil for our Mr. Trump. This includes the fact that he got elected president a month after the moon period began. Winning the election came not only as a shock to the nation, it came as a shock to him. Trump was trying to lose and thereby make his brand bigger than ever. That was good enough. He was not prepared for and did not want the responsibility of actually running the nation. Later, with career government people and officials doing their best to keep him from going completely off the rails, he discovered that being president was a narcissist's dream. Every eye in the world was on him. constantly. On October 4th, 2016, the transiting moon was at 16 Scorpio 39. Zodiacally, being in Scorpio is the worst place for the moon, in the sign of its fall. Just as bad, the moon at 16 Scorpio 39 was in aversion to and unable to help the eclipsed natal moon at 21 Sagittarius 12. So we can see that during the entire span of the moon period, Mr. Trump can be expected to mentally suffer. The second level Time Lord period ruler, from October 20th, 2023 to June 15, 2024, is Ketu, the Sanskrit name for the south node of the moon, what causes Trump's natal moon to be eclipsed. During this subperiod, we can expect his mental turmoil to be in its lowest place, and I think both psychologists and news pundits have been pointing out that Trump's mental state in current interviews does seem to be highly erratic. If Trump's natal moon is at 21 Sagittarius 12, his natal Ketu is at 20 Sagittarius 48. In a Time Lord sense, transiting Ketu in Trump's chart does to other planets what it does to his moon. It eclipses things. Ketu on October 20th, 2023 is at 24 Libra 25. As I pointed out in a previous video, 25 Libra is the whole degree of the natal sun of Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York State, and gets pointed out by this Time Lord system to be Trump's nemesis during this entire subperiod. What is transiting Ketu also eclipsing? Trump's natal Jupiter. The exaltation ruler of his 11th house of money from profession is getting raked over by transiting Ketu during the period in question. Jupiter is in Libra, Trump's second house of money, as personal possessions. What is being threatened in Trump's life during right now? The E. Jean Carroll sexual molestation case and the New York State financial fraud case directly threaten Trump's assets, particularly his real estate holdings. Very second house. Please note that it takes a boatload of Raj Yogas and other eminence markers in Trump's nativity to offset the severe injury of his natal moon being eclipsed. Yet that boatload still doesn't change the sad fact that despite inheriting $400 million, Trump has bankrupted himself 6 times and has never made a successful business on his own. The third level Time Lord period, from March 17, 2024 to April 13, 2024, is Jupiter. Natal Jupiter is at 17 Libra 27. Transiting Jupiter is at 14 Taurus 24. Transiting Jupiter has no classical aspect, no sextile, no square, no trine, nor opposition to natal Jupiter, and thus gives it no support. Transiting Jupiter in aversion to Sagittarius gives absolutely no support to the natal moon. The only difference between Jupiter to Jupiter versus Jupiter to moon is that transiting Jupiter in Taurus and natal Jupiter in Libra are both ruled by Venus. That's the only difference between them. Frankly, both natal moon and Jupiter in Trump's chart don't get any help from transiting Jupiter at this time, and his natal Jupiter is still being raked over the coals by Ketu. Has Attorney General Letitia James let up on him yet? I don't think so. Now we come to the fourth level Time Lord, and here is where your YouTube astrologer snafu'd. The fourth level Time Lord period ruler from March 25th, 2024 to March 29, 2024 is Mercury. My mistake now seems very obvious. If Mercury transiting at 24 Aries 12 is right next to Trump's natal lot of victory at 15 Aries 43, then it isn't transiting Ketu at 15 Libra 34 that counts here. It's that Mercury in Aries conjoining the lot of victory that counts. And for a span of 4 days, contradicts Ketu, the second level Lord. For those 4 days in Mercury in Aries, because it's turned on as a Time Lord, will give Donald Trump victory and some momentary relief from his now years-long mental turmoil. On March 29th, the fourth level Time Lord will shift to Ketu, meaning that both the second and fourth levels, both Ketu, reinforcing each other, will resume being the least friendly single piece of Donald John Trump's nativity. But that fourth level span of extreme pain will shift away quickly by March 31st. Because we can calculate a Time Lord to 4 levels, we can see a problem that, until Time Lords have been correctly calculated, hasn't turned up before. Even in a 4th level Time Lord, a number of planets will still serve as even lower level Time Lords, and those lower level Time Lords can be contrary to the higher level ones. Yes, Jodish does have labels for 5th, 6th, and 7th level Time Lords, but your YouTuber has yet to see them actually used anywhere in practice. If I have correctly programmed the Vimshotri Dasha, which, despite my mistake on the just prior video, I think I have, we now have a reason to program Time Lords to levels lower than the 4th level on a regular basis and not just for theoretical show. One last piece I have to throw in. Your YouTube astrologer has taken the Ptolemy Ages of Man and calculated them as a Time Lord system. Ptolemy said they were a Time Lord system, gave the major periods of the 7 planets, and said nothing else. The Ages of Man is almost unique for a Time Lord in that every person at a given age has the same Time Lord running as anyone else at that same age. Ages from birth to age 4 is the moon period for everybody. Ages 4 to 14 is the Mercury period for everybody. I simply took those 7 ages, made a logical first stab at subdividing them into 4 Time Lord levels, and the system seems to work like a charm. Why must I mention this, and why now? For everybody, starting at age 68, essentially from your 68th solar return, everybody enters the Saturn Ages of Man period, which lasts for 30 years. Saturn is a highly beneficial planet for Donald Trump. It's the exaltation ruler of his 2nd house of assets, and it exchanges exaltations with the 11th house exalted ruler, Jupiter. This exchange of exaltations saves Trump's financial ass, since the sign ruler of his Cancer 11th house, the moon, is eclipsed. Saturn also cooperates in a huge number of Raja Yogas, combinations in the natal chart for eminence. Saturn is in Cancer in the 11th house, along with Mercury and Venus. Here is where the Ages of Man comes in. On Donald Trump's 68th birthday, June 14, 2014, transiting Jupiter, transiting his exaltation sign, conjoins Trump's natal Saturn extremely closely. While both natal Mercury and natal Venus certainly benefit from Jupiter visiting there, Saturn benefits the most, as Saturn natally is at 23 Cancer 48, transiting Jupiter is at 23 Cancer 00. This is an extremely powerful reinforcement. Having even an exalted transiting Jupiter helping you out doesn't necessarily give you comfort all the time. This Ages of Man transit was fully active when Trump got elected to the presidency, and it gave him the presidency he initially did not want. As of right now, I'm not trying to predict the upcoming election. Not right now. But there's zero question Trump wants to be president again. All I will say is, the moon period that's giving him mental turmoil will not end for him until August 2nd, 2026. If he gets reelected, it will not reduce his mental turmoil until halfway through what would be his 2nd term. One thing Greek astrology says about Saturn: if the native benefits from Saturn, it tends to do so at other people's expense. Saturn, as a Raj Yoga planet, all of his life has helped Donald Trump benefit time and time again at other people's expense. I'm not happy recording this, but the Ages of Man indicates that, with transiting Jupiter on his 68th solar return so close to natal Saturn, Trump will continue to succeed at Saturnine and acquisitive actions until, or unless he lives to be 98 years old.